Hello, I am Stephanie Joy, the attorney at All Things Social Security and Joy Disability Law. Your video is about to start. I just wanted to remind you that if you click the join button below, you can learn more about the memberships offered at a very affordable price that can give you a little more direct attorney answers to your questions. Have a great day and enjoy the video. Hey again. Okay, so I have a situation today where a person with both mental and physical medical impairments of magnitude have not seen the medicals and gone into the details yet. But the person only stopped working a little less than a month ago due to, say, back pain. I think the back pain is what pulled them out specifically from the current job, but they also happen to have significant mental health problems, such as bipolar, anxiety, depression, and things like that. So the question is, person's not working, should they file right now? Well, this takes more of an analysis and a discussion with the person to decide if filing right now, say 3.5 weeks after work stoppage, is a good idea. I'm going to say that most of the time it is not. The exception may lie if the person had a catastrophic accident 3.5 weeks ago, that the damages done to the body are so clearly going to keep the person out of work for a year. Because remember, there's that 12-month duration. If that is the case, then it is possible, perhaps likely, that the person would prevail on initial, despite the fact that there's not evidence that they'll be unable to work, that despite the fact that there has not already been a passage of time. I have to laugh every time I say the word passage of time, that, would show that they've already been demolished physically and can't do it. Like they're in rehab, like living in a rehab for 9 months, learning how to walk again, bones healing, all that kind of stuff, surgery. So depending on what the case is. So if that's not the case, and that's usually not the case, the problem with filing right away can be that if the SSA is on its game and working this up in a speed in which it used to prior to a few years ago, have a case done and wrapped up within, 4 months, then when they get your medical records showing whatever impairments you have and that you've been treating for and continue to treat for, because that's really required, it'll show that, okay, so June 30th, the person was able to work. What in the medical records show that something changed? I mean, their impairments before were doable. So what in the medical records from June 30th and on show something significant enough to prevent work versus I'm tired of it. It hurts. I'm tired of it. So, okay. So that is not something that will typically exist unless there was some traumatic event, right? And therefore, the SSA may be obligated to deny because there is no evidence that you meet the durational requirement of 12 months. Now, don't get too afraid of the 12 months. It does not mean you have to have already been out of work suffering with your impairments for 12 months. However, it has to be clear from the records that it is going to be disabling and keep you out of all jobs. There's 12,000 or such out there for 12 months. And medical records very rarely do that. Now, if you waited, say, 4 or 5 months to file, and I should add that the first 4 or 5 months of an SSD win case, from the time you are found to be disabled, that date, the first 5 months, you're not getting paid anyway. So it might not be that big of a deal to do this. You're not going to get paid faster. If by the time you file, and then you got a few months of the SSA working it up, maybe you're not at 12 months. That's fine though, because now you're breathing down the neck of 12 months. They can see the writing on the wall. They might grant you without the durational being the impediment. And if they don't, the second fallback is that now by the time you're doing your recon appeal and you are continuing to treat and get diagnostic tests, MRIs, X-rays, they're going to make you probably do the X-rays before the MRI, going to physical therapy, getting injections, following the medical advice to relieve your pain so you can get back on your feet and hopefully not be disabled for the rest of your life. If by the time you get to recon, you are probably now over 12 months or at 12 months, and now you do not have that durational factor. I see too many people file so quickly and they get denied. It can be the durational factor and or you're just not disabled under our rules based on what we saw. And they basically wasted that first bite of the apple. You get 1, 2, and then you get a hearing. So why waste the one? 38% in a recent year of the statistics, 38% went on initial. That's not that shabby considering what we see. Why don't you give yourself the best chance of winning on initial? And if not, it'll just be all that stronger your case is for recon and even more strong if you have to go to an ALJ. But at least you don't lose your bite at the apple of initial. And because recons are often considered rubber stamps by many, it's not entirely true, but I could definitely see the perception. And sometimes it does appear very much to be so on the substance as well. By losing on initial, you have increased your chance of having to go to a hearing and not prevailing before having to go to a hearing. So that is my mantra on trigger happy filing without using a strategy based on your particular facts of your particular case, which will largely depend on what kind of treatment you're getting now and what your records will end up saying. All right. And your ability to really robustly go after more treatment. That's how we get the evidence, guys. All right. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Hey, so if the subject matter of the video you just listened to is of interest and you want more on it, stay tuned. Here's another one about the same topic, but a little bit different. Bye now. Good afternoon. Okay, what happens if you have not filed yet for Social Security disability, but you've been out of work a year because of your medical problems? Do you have a reason for waiting to file? There can be a reason to wait to file for some people. For others, not so much. And I think it's important that you have a strategy of learning when you're going to appeal and why at a certain time versus another. If you are 12 months out from when you stopped working and you, in your mind, stopped working because you were having serious difficulties performing your job, you've got another few months to go before your delay in filing will cause some of your potential back benefit months of when you say you were disabled to not be owed to you, even if you win. That's because there is that retroactive limitation for Social Security disability that they do not pay you more than 12 months of monthly benefits when you were disabled that precede the date of your application. So because there is a 5-month waiting period that nobody likes, but it's a necessity, you, in theory, have more than 12 months, and you have generally 17 months in which to screw around or not file, or to feel things out. You know, maybe you had a temporary disability that you thought would be temporary. And when I mean temporary, I mean just a few months, and now it's pushing a year. I think if it's pushing a year, even though you won't start losing for another 5 months, it takes time to get a properly prepared application together. It's also the perfect time to also know that right after you apply, you're going to have demands for certain reports due right after, and they are time consuming and they need to be really well vetted to make sure you don't permanently have a report in your file that is going to haunt you through your ALJ hearing if you have to go to one. So getting some of this stuff done earlier rather than later can prevent you from surpassing that 17-month period without having filed. And if you do that every month you don't file, you are losing a potential month of back benefits that you would have gotten. Okay. It's a good time to point out, however, that there is something called a protective filing. So if you are at 12 months and you know that you might be a little slow on this, maybe you're trying to get an attorney, maybe, an attorney can get your protective filing in a flash, 2 minutes on the phone, but you can get it yourself also by going to the SSA site and starting the application. Just don't go past the point where you get the reentry number. Not if you're going to have an attorney who's going to make sure that's done right. So you can get the protective filing, and it gives you 6 months to get all the nuts and bolts in there. So, but I would urge you to not finish it at that time if you plan on getting a representative who, if they actually help you apply, which I would hope so, and do it right, they would be the one completing that for you after, gathering your information. So the protective filing is extremely helpful. We use it all the time, not every case, but all the time generally. Every week there's going to be protective filings going out. The nice thing about a protective filing is if in the meantime you do recover and you do go back to work and you're doing just fine, you can let that protective filing expire and it's no harm, no foul. But if you don't get it and then you wish you did, you will be losing all those months that you delayed on. I have a lot of people who have done that. I have people who we've gotten protective filings for and they still haven't gotten the information back, maybe for whatever reason. Some people are big procrastinators. Some think they've recovered, and I applaud them on that. So they don't get, for whatever reason, usually it's the procrastinators though, don't get the information back. The protective filing expires and they do lose those back benefits. It's just, one of the curses of procrastination. It'll hit them in the wallet. So we do try to nag them a little bit to speed it up, but occasionally they slip through because they just can't get to it. If you are a procrastinator, it never hurts to have a trusted, we call it a liaison, but a trusted person who helps keep you on the ball. Getting through everything you need to get through is particularly true if you're on your own, of course, but it's also helpful when you're working with a representative if you are the type of person that does not keep up, does not, if you procrastinate, if you don't communicate much, having a more anal person in your court near you that can help you look at mail, if you get mail, help you check those emails for information you have to be providing, all that kind of good stuff. So anyway, if you are a year out from working and it was due to medical reasons, I really think you should give some concerted consideration to what you're doing so you don't run into this problem. You're going to regret it later if you lose 6 months of benefits. Again, that could be $10,000 that you just, lost just because you procrastinated. All right. Yeah. I mean, contact a representative, contact an attorney. If you're the type that procrastinates that much, you definitely need a representative. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That might be the avenue that will help you. But having a liaison at home doesn't hurt either. I love it when my clients have that. I'm always asking about it. There's some that don't need it at all, but there are some that definitely do. And it's really helpful. And it makes their case go much faster. Okay, guys, that's enough for tonight. I'm going to go watch a ball game. Bye now.